The stars stretched endlessly across the dark sky, countless points of light scattered like diamonds on black velvet. Humanity had reached far into the galaxy, colonizing planets and building space stations, but the universe was still vast, mysterious, and dangerous. Captain Arya Khan sat in the command chair of the UNS Resolute, her eyes scanning the consoles filled with blinking lights and holographic readouts. Her crew worked quietly but efficiently, the hum of the ship's engines a constant reminder that they were far from home. "Captain," Lieutenant Renner said, his fingers dancing over the controls, "we're picking up a signal. It's unusual." Arya leaned forward, narrowing her eyes. "Unusual how?" "It's a distress call," Renner replied. "But it's in a language we've never heard before. Advanced, yes, but panicked, urgent." Arya straightened in her chair. Her instincts told her that no signal reached the far reaches of space without a reason. Humanity had always prided itself on curiosity and courage. They didn't turn away from cries for help. "Patch it through to translation matrix," Arya ordered. "I want to know what they're saying." The ship's AI, Athena, immediately began analyzing the signal. Within moments, the garbled sounds transformed into words, clear enough to understand. "Zorvathi fleet approaching. Civilization lost. Please. Help." Arya's heart tightened. The Velith, a peaceful alien species that no one had ever seen before, were facing annihilation. Their homeworld was under attack by the Zorvathi, a galactic empire feared across countless star systems. "Show me the coordinates," Arya commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing a small green planet orbiting a distant star. Already, streaks of red light indicated orbital bombardments. Cities were burning and enormous ships hovered over the surface, blocking escape. The bridge fell silent. The crew stared at the display, knowing that every second counted. Humanity had always been brave, but they had also been cautious. The Zorvathi were notorious, merciless, and far stronger than anything humanity had faced before. "Captain," Renner said, his voice low, "if we go in, we risk everything. This could be a trap." Arya turned to him, her face calm but firm. "Lieutenant, when someone calls for help, we answer. We are humans. We don't ignore cries for life, no matter the danger. You think the Velith had a choice? They are dying, and we have the power to help. That is enough." Her words hung in the air. The crew felt a spark of hope. Even facing the unknown, humanity never backed down. Within hours, the UNS Resolute and its fleet had jumped into hyperspace, leaving familiar stars behind. Their destination was the Velith system, where civilization clung to life by the thinnest thread. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Velith cowered beneath the shadows of the Zorvathi warships. Their cities, once shining with tall towers and floating gardens, were now crumbling under relentless bombardment. Children huddled with their parents in underground shelters. Scientists and engineers worked desperately to repair defensive systems, but their technology could not match the overwhelming power of the Zorvathi. Among the Velith, a young commander named Tyrion watched the skies with despair. His people had fought bravely, but every day brought more destruction. When the strange, human fleet arrived, a mixture of fear and awe swept over him. Humans. He had heard stories, rumors of courage, strength, and strange resilience, but he had never seen them in action. The first human ships entered orbit, sleek and different from anything Tyrion had ever seen. Unlike the heavily armored Zorvathi vessels, these ships were smaller, agile, and efficient. Their weapons glowed with a strange energy, but they moved with precision, not recklessness. Tyrion realized immediately that humanity was not just another alien race to fear. They were a force to respect. Captain Khan activated her communication channels. "Velith people, this is Captain Arya Khan of the United Nations Space Fleet. We received your call for help. Humanity will not stand idle while injustice and tyranny threaten life. We are here to assist. Please tell us your situation." Tyrion hesitated. He had never trusted outsiders, and yet these humans spoke with honesty and strength that felt different. He stepped forward and replied, his voice trembling, "Our planet is under siege. The Zorvathi destroy everything. Our defenses fail. If you leave, there will be no one left. Please, save us. Arya nodded even though he could not see it. We will save you. But we need to know everything. Where the Zorvathi are, what weapons they use, and where your people are hiding. Over the next several hours, Tyrion guided the humans through the crumbling cities, explaining the Zorvathi's tactics. They used massive energy cannons, capable of destroying entire districts in minutes. Their ships were heavily armed, with shields that made most conventional weapons useless. The Velith had no hope of defeating them alone. The humans listened carefully, taking notes and analyzing every piece of information. They moved with a calm efficiency that amazed the Velith. Arya observed her crew, engineers working on upgrades, pilots studying enemy patterns, tacticians devising strategies. They were humans, yes, but humans capable of facing overwhelming odds without fear. Captain, Renner said quietly, if we engage them directly, we could lose half our fleet. Their forces are massive. Arya's eyes burned with determination. Lieutenant, our job is not just to fight. They expect us to be afraid. They expect us to run, but humanity is not predictable. We think, we plan, we adapt, and we do not leave the innocent to die. We will hit them where they least expect it, and we will save the Velith. That is what humans do. That night, Arya stood on the bridge, staring at the burning planet below. The Velith had lost so much already: homes, families, hope. Humanity had come to their aid not because it was easy, but because it was right. In that moment, she understood something she had always known. Humans did not need power alone to be feared or respected. Courage, ingenuity, and the refusal to surrender were enough. The next morning, the fleet moved into formation. The UNS Resolute led the vanguard, flanked by smaller ships designed for rapid strikes and stealth attacks. Engineers and scientists worked frantically, modifying weapons and shields to counter the Zorvathi's firepower. Pilots ran simulations, practicing maneuvers that no alien had ever seen. Tyrion watched from his command bunker, awe in his eyes. They fight differently, he whispered to his aide. They are not like the other races. They do not fear. They do not yield. Arya activated the comms again. Velith, stay in your shelters. Our fleet will engage the Zorvathi. Forces. Humanity will not fail you. The Velith survivors dared to hope. For the first time in weeks, fear was replaced with anticipation. Humanity had come into their darkest hour, unafraid of the danger, unshaken by the enemy. And somewhere deep in the Zorvathi command center, an officer noticed the human fleet. His eyes widened in disbelief. It can't be. The humans? Here? The Zorvathi had heard of humanity. They were supposed to be insignificant, weak, and easily dismissed. They had underestimated humans before. And now, as the UNS Resolute and its fleet approached, ready to fight for those who could not defend themselves, the Zorvathi would learn the hard truth. Humans did not yield, humans did not surrender, and humans, when roused, fought with fire that no empire could ignore. Captain Arya Khan watched the stars ahead, the lights of her fleet glinting against the darkness. "All right, team," she said, her voice steady and resolute. "Let's show them what humanity can do." The stars waited. The fleet advanced, and a cry for salvation echoed across the galaxy, answered by humans who would not fail. The Velith homeworld was in ruins. From orbit, the human fleet saw the burning cities, the thick black smoke rising into the thin atmosphere, and the jagged craters marking where energy weapons had struck. Captain Arya Khan stood on the bridge of the UNS Resolute, watching the devastation, her jaw tight with determination. Humanity had arrived too late to prevent all the destruction, but they could still save lives. "Captain," Lieutenant Renner said, pointing to the holographic display, "there are still pockets of survivors hiding underground. They're using old tunnels and reinforced shelters. We can reach them, but we need to act quickly before the Zorvathi come back." Arya nodded. "Prepare rescue teams. But first, we need to understand what we're up against. Athena, scan the orbit. Show me every Zorvathi vessel in the system. The AI responded immediately, displaying dozens of massive warships in orbit and several more moving toward the planet from nearby star systems. Energy shields shimmered around the ships, their weapons glowing like molten fire. The Zorvathi were well prepared and fully capable of annihilating the remaining Velith resistance. Even if we hit them directly, we'd lose half our fleet, Renner said. We need another plan. Arya's eyes narrowed. Then we fight smart, not just hard. Humans are not predictable. We think, we adapt, and we survive. That's how we win. The first human teams beamed down to the planet in sleek shuttles. The Velith people, weak from fear and hunger, stared at the humans with disbelief. Their eyes, wide and uncertain, were filled with both hope and doubt. Among them, Commander Tyrion stepped forward. You have come to help?" he asked. Arya smiled faintly. "Yes, humanity does not turn its back on those who cannot defend themselves. But we need your help too. Show us where the survivors are, and tell us everything you know about the Zorvathi." Over the next few hours, Tyrion guided the human teams through the underground tunnels. The Velith had built these shelters decades ago, anticipating possible attacks from neighboring civilizations, but nothing on this scale. Children clung to their parents, frightened, while the elderly tried to remain calm. Engineers and medics moved quickly, distributing food, water, and medical supplies brought by the humans. Meanwhile, the human fleet hovered above the planet, monitoring Zorvathi movements. Athena, the ship's AI, calculated dozens of possible attack scenarios. "Captain," she said, "direct engagement would result in 40% fleet losses within the first hour. Alternative strategy: use stealth and diversion tactics to neutralize key Zorvathi vessels before they can target the surface." Arya considered the data carefully. "Then we do that. Prepare the stealth teams. I want reconnaissance drones in every sector and energy disruptors ready to jam their weapons. We will not charge blindly. We will strike with precision." Renner frowned. "You really think we can pull this off?" Arya met his gaze. "We have to. Humanity never leaves anyone behind. Not now. Not ever." As the humans prepared their plans, the Velith began to show signs of hope. Tyrion noticed how his people's fear slowly transformed into cautious trust. Children laughed quietly as they watched human medics treat wounds. Scientists whispered excitedly as human engineers examined Zorvathi technology, marveling at their ingenuity. By the second day, the humans were ready. Captain Khan gathered her senior officers on the bridge. "Here's the plan," she began. "We cannot match the Zorvathi in raw power, but we can outthink them. We will divide our fleet into 3 groups. Group Alpha, led by the UNS Resolute, will engage the main Zorvathi ships directly, drawing their attention. Group Beta will use stealth ships to flank them from above. Group Gamma will disrupt their weapons and shields, giving the Velith survivors time to escape underground. Every move must be precise. Failure is not an option." The officers nodded, their faces serious. Humanity had faced dangers before, but this was unlike anything they had seen. Yet in every eye there was resolve. They were humans, and humans thrived in the face of impossible odds. The first engagement began in orbit. Group Alpha moved closer to the Zorvathi fleet, weapons charged but firing only as a diversion. Energy beams lit up space, drawing the enemy's attention. The Zorvathi, confident in their superiority, responded aggressively, focusing their firepower on the Resolute and its escort ships. Meanwhile, Group Beta emerged from stealth positions, striking the flanks of the Zorvathi vessels. Explosions rocked enemy ships as humans used precision attacks to disable engines and weapon systems. Athena coordinated the movements flawlessly, adjusting tactics in real time. On the planet below, Group Gamma deployed specialized energy disruptors near key Zorvathi orbital weapons. The devices jammed targeting systems and interfered with shields. Suddenly, the massive energy cannons meant to destroy Velith cities went dark, their devastating beams flickering and dying. Commander Tyrion watched from the control room, disbelief in his eyes. "They are amazing. They do not fight like anyone else. They do not fear death. They think, they plan, they adapt. Our people, We might survive because of them. Arya's voice came over the comms. Velith survivors, now is your chance. Evacuate through the tunnels to the safe zones. Our fleet will hold the Zorvathi long enough for you to reach safety. The Velith did not hesitate. For the first time in days, hope guided their steps, instead of fear. Families moved quickly through hidden passages, assisted by human medics and engineers who helped carry the injured. As the battle raged above, humans continued their assault. Pilots performed daring maneuvers, weaving between enemy fire, striking where the Zorvathi least expected. Engineers remotely triggered kinetic traps on enemy ships, sending them tumbling out of control. Every strike was calculated, every action precise. In the midst of the chaos, Lieutenant Renner piloted a stealth fighter into a heavily armed Zorvathi cruiser. With expert timing, he placed explosive charges along the ship's hull and escaped at the last moment. Moments later, the cruiser erupted in a massive explosion, sending debris tumbling into the void. The Zorvathi were stunned. They had never seen humans fight like this. Their ships were powerful, their weapons deadly, but humans were unpredictable. Humans did not just attack. They outsmarted, adapted, and inspired. By the end of the first day of battle, the tide had already shifted. Several Zorvathi ships had been destroyed or disabled, and their orbital weapons were no longer a threat to the Velith cities. The survivors reached safe zones underground, exhausted but alive. Captain Arya Khan looked at the holographic display, seeing the remaining Zorvathi retreating toward deep space. Her fleet had not suffered catastrophic losses, and the Velith were safe for the moment. "Good work, everyone," she said, her voice calm but filled with pride. "We have saved lives today, but the war is not over. The Zorvathi will regroup, they will return, and when they do, we will be ready." Tyrion approached her, awe evident in his expression. "Captain, your people, they are unlike any others. You fought for us when you had no obligation. You risked your lives, yet you showed honor, courage, and mercy. I do not know how to thank you." Arya smiled faintly. "You do not need to thank us. Humanity answers the call when others cannot. That is what we do. And together, we will fight to ensure that no one suffers under tyranny." As the sun rose over the Velith world, casting light on the damaged but still standing cities, Arya knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had shown its strength, but the real test was yet to come. The Zorvathi were dangerous, and the war would escalate. But for the first time, the Velith could hope, and humanity had proven once again that courage, ingenuity, and determination could shine even in the darkest hours of the galaxy. The stars stretched endlessly above, and the humans moved among them like fire through the darkness. They would not rest. They would not falter. They would answer the call, and they would do so without mercy for those who threatened the innocent. The Velith homeworld had been saved for now, but the threat was far from over. The Zorvathi fleet was regrouping in nearby systems, their rage and pride stoked by the loss of several ships. Captain Arya Khan stood on the bridge of the UNS Resolute, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the approaching enemy. The stakes were higher now. Humanity could not simply defend. They had to strike, and strike with precision. Lieutenant Renner tapped on the console. "Captain, sensors show at least 50 Zorvathi warships forming a strike group. Their shields are stronger than before, and they're bringing heavy bombers this time." Arya's jaw tightened. "Then we adapt. Athena, run full analysis. Identify their weak points and give me options." The AI responded within moments. "Captain, the primary vulnerability is in the energy relay nodes on the dorsal hull. They are exposed during shield recharge cycles. If targeted, we could disable multiple ships at once. Probability of success, 68% with coordinated attack." Arya nodded. "Prepare the strike teams, we hit them together, coordinated. This is not just a fight, it's a message. Humanity does not flee." Below, on the planet, Velith survivors huddled in safe zones. Commander Tyrion watched human engineers deliver weapons and advice. teaching his people how to defend themselves and repair damaged systems. For the first time in weeks, the Velith felt hope, and it came from humans who risked everything for them. "Do you think they will hold?" Tyrion asked quietly. "They always do," said a young engineer, watching. "A human squad trained Velith fighters. They never give up. Not ever." Arya's fleet advanced in formation, the dark void of space illuminated by the lights of dozens of human ships. Their movements were precise, almost graceful, a combination of skill, strategy, and instinct. Even facing overwhelming numbers, they did not panic. Humanity had always thrived under pressure, and this was no exception. The first clash began when Zorvathi bombers dived toward the Velith cities, their massive weapons ready to unleash destruction. Group Alpha, led by the Resolute, moved to intercept. Human pilots weaved through enemy fire, their ships smaller and faster than the lumbering Zorvathi vessels. Precision strikes hit engines and weapons, disabling them before they could reach the surface. At the same time, Group Beta, the stealth wing, moved behind the main fleet. Using cloaking technology and carefully timed attacks, they struck the exposed energy relay nodes. One by one, Zorvathi ships lost shields, leaving them vulnerable to human fire. Explosions lit the void as ships tumbled helplessly, drifting into space debris. Captain Arya directed her fleet with calm authority, her voice steady even as alarms blared across the bridge. "Target the lead ships first. Keep the pressure. Focus on disruption, not destruction. Draw them out. Force them to expose weaknesses. Humanity does not fight blindly." Lieutenant Renner grinned. "Yes, ma'am. Let's show them what humans can do." Below, Tyrion watched the battle through orbital monitors. He could not believe his eyes. Humans were not only fighting, they were thinking, adapting, and inspiring. Every move seemed impossible, yet it worked. Children hid in tunnels, listening to the distant roar of explosions and whispered prayers of hope. The Velith had never seen courage like this. Amid the chaos, one of the human ships was hit by heavy fire. Alarms blared and crew members struggled to maintain control. Lieutenant Renner, seeing the ship in danger, piloted his fighter into the fray. With precision maneuvers, he disabled the attacking Zorvathi vessel, giving the damaged ship time to recover. Arya's voice echoed across comms. "Every human ship is a weapon of hope. Protect the innocent and do not hesitate to strike at the enemy. Today we fight not just for victory, but for life itself." The Zorvathi were unprepared for this type of warfare. They had expected fear, hesitation, and surrender. But humanity showed neither. Every tactic, every maneuver was designed to protect the Velith and weaken the enemy. Slowly, the tide of battle shifted. One Zorvathi dreadnought advanced toward a human strike group, confident that its firepower would crush them. But the humans anticipated the move. Stealth ships appeared on its flanks, striking relay nodes and sending it spiraling out of control. Explosions rocked the dreadnought, and it drifted helplessly into the void, a message to the rest of the fleet. Humanity would not be broken. Captain Arya observed the chaos with steady determination. "Keep pushing. Protect the civilians. Every ship we save, every life we defend proves our point. The universe will learn to respect humanity, whether it likes it or not." The battle raged for hours. Human pilots executed daring maneuvers. Engineers remotely triggered kinetic traps on enemy vessels, and Athena coordinated strikes across the fleet with unmatched precision. Every loss was felt deeply, but no human faltered. Each action reinforced the core of humanity: courage, resilience, and ingenuity. Meanwhile, Tyrion coordinated the evacuation of remaining Velith civilians. The underground shelters were now full, and human medics ensured that even the injured could move safely. "Move quickly," he urged. "The humans hold the sky. Do not waste this chance." As the battle reached its climax, a human shuttle carrying a squad of engineers was hit by enemy fire. It spiraled toward the planet's surface, its systems failing. Without hesitation, another human pilot dove to intercept, pulling the shuttle out of danger at the last moment. The crew inside erupted in cheers, their gratitude boundless. Humanity did not abandon its own, or anyone else. Finally, the Zorvathi fleet began to retreat, their confidence shattered. Several of their ships were destroyed, and their main weapons had been disabled. Captain Arya knew this victory was only temporary, but it was crucial. The Velith had survived, and the humans had proven that cleverness, courage, and determination could overcome even the deadliest foes. Tyrion approached Arya as the battle ended. His expression was a mixture of awe and relief. "Your people, they are extraordinary. You fought not just with weapons, but with your minds and hearts. We would have perished without you." Arya shook her head. "We did not do it for praise. We did it because it was right. Humanity answers the call when others cannot. That is who we are. And we will continue to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves." As the human fleet regrouped in orbit, the Velith survivors emerged from the tunnels. Their eyes reflected hope and gratitude, their fear replaced by cautious optimism. Children laughed quietly for the first time in weeks, and families embraced in relief. The humans had not only defended them, they had inspired them. Captain Arya looked at the stars ahead. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The Zorvathi were relentless, and they would return with greater force. Humanity had proven its courage and ingenuity, but the real challenge lay ahead. The Velith could rebuild, but only if humans continued to fight beside them. In the quiet moments after the battle, Arya reflected on what they had accomplished. Humanity had shown its true strength, not through sheer firepower alone, but through strategy, intelligence, and the unyielding will to protect the innocent. The Zorvathi would never forget this day, and the galaxy would soon learn that humans were not to be underestimated. The stars stretched endlessly above the Velith world, and the human fleet moved among them like living fire. They would continue to fight, not for conquest, but for justice, for life, and for the hope that no civilization should face annihilation alone. Captain Arya Khan set her jaw, determination burning in her eyes. "Prepare for the next strike," she said. "Humanity fights for life. We fight for honor, and we never ever back down." The Zorvathi fleet had retreated, licking their wounds, but Captain Arya Khan knew better than to celebrate prematurely. The enemy was cunning, ruthless, and would soon return with even greater force. Humanity could not wait for another attack. They had to strike first. On the bridge of the UNS Resolute, Arya studied the holographic map of the Zorvathi sector. Red symbols marked their shipyards, resource depots, and command centers. Targeting these would cripple the Zorvathi's ability to wage war, but it was risky. A strike this deep into enemy territory meant venturing into unknown space, where traps and ambushes were certain. Lieutenant Renner frowned. "Captain, we could be walking into a death trap. Their fleet is reorganizing, and they'll have reinforcements." Arya's eyes were calm but determined. "Renner, humanity does not wait while innocents suffer. The Zorvathi have terrorized others for too long. We hit them where it hurts. We strike not for revenge, but to save lives. That is who we are. Prepare the fleet." Athena, the ship's AI, began calculating multiple routes and attack strategies. "Probability of success 57%, she said. "High risk, but feasible with precise coordination and stealth operations." 57% is better than 0, Arya replied. "We move at dawn." Below, on the Velith homeworld, Commander Tyrion prepared his people for another battle. They had begun repairing surface systems and learning from human engineers, but their technology was still inferior. "We will support the humans," he said to his officers. "They fight for our lives, and with them we might finally see an end to this terror." The human fleet moved in silence through hyperspace, avoiding Zorvathi sensors. As they approached the enemy's core territory, scouts detected small patrols easily dispatched with precision attacks. The humans knew that direct confrontation would be dangerous. They needed surprise, speed, and intelligence. Captain Khan convened a strategy meeting with her senior officers. "Here's the plan," she said. "Group Alpha will hit the main shipyard with orbital strikes, disabling production facilities. Group Beta will move to take out the energy relays that power their fleet. Group Gamma, with stealth ships, will infiltrate the command hub and disrupt communications. Timing is crucial. Everything must happen simultaneously. Humanity fights smart, not recklessly." The fleet moved into position, each ship knowing its role. The first strike came without warning. Explosions rocked the Zorvathi shipyards as orbital bombardments destroyed factories and weapon depots. Energy surges lit the sky as missiles detonated mid-air, sending debris tumbling into space. At the same time, stealth teams moved behind enemy lines. Their ships, invisible to sensors, struck relay nodes and power conduits. Massive Zorvathi vessels lost shields, leaving them vulnerable to human fire. Engineers remotely triggered chain reactions that disabled multiple ships at once. Despite the chaos, the Zorvathi fought back. Swarms of fighters attempted to intercept the humans, and heavy cruisers unleashed volleys of energy beams. Yet human pilots adapted instantly, using evasive maneuvers, hit-and-run tactics, and ingenuity. They were not just soldiers. They were humans capable of thinking faster than any machine, reacting with unpredictability that confounded the enemy. In the midst of the attack, Captain Arya led a boarding mission on the Zorvathi flagship. A small squad of elite soldiers, including Renner, teleported aboard. The corridors of the massive ship were dark, filled with the hum of energy systems and the occasional flash of enemy patrols. Humans moved with silent precision, avoiding detection while planting explosives on critical systems. At the heart of the flagship, they confronted the Zorvathi commander, a towering figure in black armor. His voice was cold and mocking. "Humans, you dare come here?" Arya stepped forward, unflinching. "We come because you terrorize the innocent. That ends today." The commander raised his energy staff, but Arya and her team were faster. Explosives detonated in key systems, sending the flagship into chaos. Fires erupted, alarms blared, and the Zorvathi commander realized his defeat was imminent. Back in orbit, the explosions from the flagship's destruction triggered panic across the enemy fleet. Without command, coordination failed. Human strike teams pressed the advantage, disabling more ships, taking control of resource depots, and cutting off reinforcements. Commander Tyrion watched the battle from the Velith observation deck, awe in his eyes. They are unstoppable," he whispered. "Not because they are the strongest, but because they are fearless, clever, and human." The fleet continued their assault for hours. Every move was calculated, every strike deliberate. Human ingenuity turned the enemy's strength against them. Energy shields overloaded, weapon systems exploded, and the once mighty Zorvathi fleet crumbled under the relentless, precise attack. Finally, the Zorvathi commander attempted to flee in a small escape vessel, but Renner anticipated the move. With careful targeting, he disabled the craft, forcing the enemy leader to surrender. The remaining Zorvathi ships, leaderless and disorganized, retreated into deep space. On the bridge of the Resolute, Arya exhaled deeply. The mission was a success, but she knew the fight was not truly over. The Zorvathi were wounded, but they remained dangerous. Still, humanity had proven something that no one could ignore. They were not a minor power. They were a force of courage, intelligence, and unyielding determination. Commander Tyrion approached Arya. "Your people. They fought not just with weapons, but with minds and hearts. We owe our lives to you." Arya shook her head. "No. Humanity fights because it is right. We answer the call when others cannot. That is who we are. And we will continue to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves." The Velith began repairing their planet with human guidance. Engineers, medics, and strategists worked side by side, learning and adapting. Children played safely in the once bombarded streets, laughter echoing like music. Humanity had not only defeated a powerful enemy, They had inspired an entire civilization to hope and rebuild. As the human fleet regrouped, Athena calculated the long-term impact. Captain, the Zorvathi's infrastructure is severely damaged. Their fleet will require months to rebuild. With continued pressure, we could end their threat entirely. Arya nodded. Then we keep pushing. The universe must know that tyranny will not survive when humans answer the call. Prepare for further operations, Athena. Humanity fights for justice, life, and hope, and we never back down. Across the galaxy, the Zorvathi would remember this day. They had faced humans expecting weakness, hesitation, and surrender. Instead, they found courage, strategy, and relentless determination. The message was clear. Humanity would not be ignored, and they would defend the innocent with fire, precision, and unshakable will. Captain Arya Khan looked at the stars, the lights of her fleet glinting against the dark void. Humanity is here, she said softly. We will answer the call. Always. And we will not falter. The galaxy watched, and a new respect, even fear, for humanity began to spread. The Zorvathi threat had been broken, their fleet scattered, their shipyards destroyed, and their leaders captured or in hiding. They no longer posed an immediate danger. But Captain Arya Khan knew better than to celebrate too soon. The galaxy was vast, and other powers watched closely. Humanity had made a statement, but it would take vigilance and wisdom to ensure lasting peace. The UNS Resolute hovered above the recovering Velith cities. Children played in the streets, their laughter a melody that had been absent for too long. Families reunited, tears of joy and relief mingling freely. Engineers, both human and Velith, worked together to repair structures, restore energy grids, and rebuild what had been destroyed. The Velith had learned much from their human allies, how to organize, defend, and survive. Commander Tyrion approached Captain Arya on the deck of the Resolute. Your people, they have changed everything for us, not just by fighting the Zorvathi, but by showing us hope, courage, and the will to live. How can we ever thank you? Arya smiled faintly. You don't need to thank us. Humanity fights because it is right. We answer the call when others cannot. That is our duty. That is our strength. Tyrion nodded, his eyes shining with respect. Your courage, it is unlike anything I have ever seen. We will rebuild, and we will remember what humans have done for us. Below the city, Velith children asked questions about the humans who had saved them. Why do they fight for us? One child asked a scientist. The scientist paused, thinking, because they believe life is precious. Because humans fight not just for themselves but for others. It is in their nature to protect, to create, and to never give up. That is why they are strong. Meanwhile, Captain Arya convened a meeting with her officers to discuss the next steps. The Zorvathi had been dealt a serious blow, but the galaxy was watching. Humanity's intervention had drawn attention. Some would admire it, others would fear it. Diplomacy and preparation would be as important as courage and firepower. We have made an impact, Arya said, her tone measured but proud. The Velith are safe and the Zorvathi fleet is crippled. But we must remain vigilant. Other civilizations will now know humanity is willing to act. We need to build alliances, prepare for threats, and ensure that what we started here does not become a spark for new wars. Lieutenant Renner nodded. Understood, Captain. Humanity has proven itself. The galaxy will take notice. Beyond, the Velith system, scattered Zorvathi fleets regrouped in hidden star systems. Their leaders were furious, their pride wounded, and their anger simmered like a storm. But the humans had shown them a truth they could not ignore. Brute power alone did not guarantee victory. Courage, intelligence, and adaptability could defeat even the most fearsome enemies. On the Velith homeworld, Arya visited one of the rebuilt schools. Children ran to her, smiling, asking questions about the humans who had saved their lives. Will you stay with us? One child asked. Arya knelt, looking into the hopeful eyes of the Velith child. We cannot stay forever, but we will always be watching. And if anyone threatens your world again, humanity will answer the call. Always. Tyrion watched quietly. Your people, they are not just warriors. They are teachers, protectors, and friends. We will never forget this. In the months that followed, humanity worked to establish alliances with the Velith and other neighboring civilizations. Human engineers helped rebuild cities and infrastructure. Medics trained Velith. Doctors, pilots trained Velith fighters. Humanity's example spread quickly. Strength was not just in weapons, but in intelligence, cooperation, and courage. Captain Arya reflected on the journey. From the first desperate signal to the destruction of the Zorvati flagship, humanity had faced impossible odds. Yet they had persevered, not because they sought glory, but because it was the right thing to do. Their actions had saved lives, inspired hope, and changed the balance of power in the galaxy. One evening, as the sun set over the recovering Velith cities, Arya stood on the bridge of the Resolute, staring at the stars. Lieutenant Renner joined her. You know, he said quietly, I used to think humanity was just another species. But what we've done here, it's different. We fight with honor, but also with wisdom. We protect the innocent, and we never give up. That is extraordinary. Arya nodded. It is who we are. Humanity does not wait for permission, does not surrender to fear, and does not abandon those in need. We answer the call, no matter the danger, no matter the enemy. That is the legacy we leave behind. Across the galaxy, other civilizations began to take notice. Reports of human courage and ingenuity spread quickly. Aliens who once doubted humanity now approached with caution and respect. Some sought alliances, others simply watched in awe. The message was clear. Humans were a force unlike any other, a civilization willing to act for justice, for life, and for hope. Back on the Velith homeworld, Commander Tyrion addressed his people. We have survived because of humanity, he said. We have learned from them, and we will rebuild stronger than before. And we will honor their courage by protecting each other and never allowing tyranny to take root again. In the distance, the UNS Resolute and the human fleet prepared to depart. Their mission here was complete, but their journey was far from over. Across countless star systems, cries for help would continue to echo. Humanity had proven that they would answer every call. Captain Arya took one last look at the Velith homeworld, her heart swelling with pride. We came because it was right. We fought because we could. And we will continue wherever we are needed. Humanity does not rest. Humanity does not falter. Humanity endures. As the fleet jumped into hyperspace, leaving the recovering Velith behind, a message was transmitted across the stars. It was not a threat, not a warning, but a promise. Help will come. Humanity answers the call. We fight for life, for justice, and for hope. We will not fail. We will not falter. We will not be merciless toward the innocent, and we will bring justice to tyrants. The galaxy will remember this day. In that moment, the universe knew something it had never known before. Humans were a civilization unlike any other. They could be challenged, tested, and threatened, but they would always rise. Courage, ingenuity, and the unyielding will to protect life made them unstoppable. And somewhere deep in the remnants of the Zorvati Empire, fear spread like wildfire. The humans who had answered a single desperate cry had shown the galaxy a new reality. No tyrant, no oppressor, and no force of destruction could withstand the combined courage, intelligence, and fire of humanity. Captain Arya Khan and her crew had started as responders to a simple call for help. They ended as a symbol, a warning to tyrants and a beacon of hope to the oppressed. Humanity's legacy would endure, echoing across the stars, answering cries for salvation wherever they appeared.